Boy. I tell you, Netmarble never ceases to amaze me lately. They keep pulling out these fastballs and these cute little changes here and there, these little tweaks to keep us surprised. And this time it comes in the form of Timeline Battle once again having an altered, for the first time, recommended and restricted list in Vibranium. And I'm actually going to talk about the restricted list in Platinum because it might be spicier than the restricted list this week in Vibranium. But what are we looking at here? Well, I'll have you know, ladies and gentlemen, that on top of your girl, Captain Marvel, being banned again for the second time in 3 weeks, which does kind of bring a smile to my face, we have, for the first time ever, Nick Fury, Victorious, and Doctor Doom. Those three right there on that third row have never been banned before because they were all added in recent updates. In the January update, of course, with the Fantastic Four, and then in the February-March update with, of course, the Captain Marvel movie. And the last time we had an overhaul of the restricted characters list was much before that. And so, yeah, on top of Captain Marvel being added for the second time ever, we now have Nick Fury and Victorious and Doctor Doom being added for the first time ever on top of Angel, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Thanos, and also Wolverine to a lesser extent. But damn, that's a lot of top tier PvP characters being completely shut out. And who does that leave? Well, of course, that leaves the big girl herself, Jean Grey, all alone, all on her lonesome at the top to dominate. So some people will put their tinfoil hats on and say Netmarble's trying to pressure people into buying Jean Grey, or kind of rapidly accelerating their epic quest for Wolverine in order to unlock Jean Grey, purchase her uniform, and so on and so forth. And you know what? You tinfoil hat people, I usually don't agree with you, but you might be right this time. I have no clue why Netmarble is subjugating us, is forcing us to go through this hell again, where literally every single team, this is basically just trading Captain Marvel for Jean Grey. But you know what? It's worse, because Jean Grey revives, so it's basically double Captain Marvel, which is mad annoying. So, you know, I didn't think I would say this after only 2 weeks of Captain Marvel being banned, but please, if you're going to ban Jean Grey and you're going to bring back Captain Marvel, just bring back Captain Marvel. I would much rather fight Captain Marvel than Jean Grey twice, 80 times. Killing Jean Grey 160 times per week, honestly, makes me kind of nauseated. But really quickly, before we discuss the tactics for this week in Timeline, because I'm actually pretty shook up about this restricted list. I mean, Nick Fury is honestly a pretty good counter to Jean Grey. He's not a bad counter. And yeah, he's been excommunicado. Before we talk about that, let's go throw up on here the Platinum restricted list. And we've got Deadpool and Quicksilver, two speed types who could counter Jean Grey. But then you have Jean Grey herself, and Thanos, and Wasp, and Victorious. This is a great ban list, and it features a lot of native tier 2 characters, including Scarlet Witch. Man, could we get a version of this list and throw on a couple of other native tier 2s, throw on Captain Marvel? Can we just ban like the top 10 of my PvP meta snapshot and just see what happens? What happens if we ban all those characters? Who becomes the next big slammer? I'm really wondering. But anyways, with that being said, yes, Jean Grey is obviously the #1 character this week for both, well, not for Platinum, but definitely for Vibranium, because she's not banned. She's got the leadership, but you also have other characters that are going to see a lot of play now. So you've already seen Deadpool. Deadpool's going to see a lot of play, not only because he's a strong PvP character, but because he can counter Jean Grey. I think we're going to see the most Deadpool that we've seen in a long time. You're still going to see a lot of Colossus as well, for the same reason that I explained in the last PvP video that I made a few days ago, because of course he makes every other character is super hard to kill. But then you're going to see a lot of Strife and a couple of other characters who have this debuff leadership, because some players don't like to play Jean in the first slot, because when you're attacking, it's actually a lot harder, and you can actually lose your Jean. You can actually lose her first life, especially when you queue up against a team that starts off with, let's say, Deadpool. You have a situation where Deadpool uses his 4th skill and basically kills your Jean Grey unless she has invincibility and he doesn't have a CTP of destruction. So you're going to see that, and you're also going to, so you're going to see some of this as well, because this is a hard counter to a Jean Grey team specifically, and this actually is a good mirror match. So the crazy thing for this week is, the thing that you got to be watching out for is that if you put Jean Grey and Deadpool on a team together, you might be in trouble because this Deadpool is going to be very hard for your Deadpool to kill, because he's got the 65% damage reduction against superheroes from Hela and Colossus combined. So it's a very interesting week. A lot of nice play and counterplay, I think. I don't know why I'm seeing so much Cyclops, to be honest. I think you guys are just being goofs and putting Cyclops. You're also going to see a lot of Silver Surfer as well, for the same reason as Strife. There's no Wasp, there's no Angel, there's no Doctor Doom, but you want a debuff leadership, and you don't want it to be Jean Grey, because you wanted to have her as a backup in case your first line of defense dies. That's an honest, and it's actually a really logical thing to do, so you're going to see a lot of this. However, because you're seeing a lot of mutants, you're seeing, of course, Jean Grey on every single fucking team. You're seeing Deadpool on a lot of teams, and then you're also seeing Strife. I want to reveal to you my new, most degenerate, most cheese strategy possible. This is called the, I'm going to spend 1 hour on 10 timeline battle fights. And it's disgusting, and it's sad, and it's also pretty hilarious. And the team essentially revolves around the combo of Sentinel and Colossus. So the really nice thing about this combo, it's actually a 2-piece combo. Unlike the Deadpool combo that I showed you guys that required Hela, this piece does not require any other formula, so you can sub in any other character you have here. Now, it's not as good as the Deadpool combo, because as I will admit, Sentinel is not as good as Deadpool. He doesn't have as much survivability, and he also doesn't have as much offense, so he's lacking in both departments. And honestly, I think this is a much less viable strategy. So I want to sort of preface everything that I'm saying now, that this is not I don't think this is a viable strategy. I don't think this is a good strategy. It's funny, it's corny, it's a very troll strategy, but if you think it's funny, if you like it, I would recommend you give it a try, because it's kind of amusing. And honestly, you should keep an eye out for Sentinel, and if you have the opportunity to build him, I would say now is a good time, because if this badass, if he gets a uniform, he could be the savior. He could literally be the one that brings us out of the darkness, because him and his passive, his mutant suppressor passive, which gives him a flat 50% reduction, that is added. I don't know how it's added, but it's added to Colossus's, so it gives him a 100% damage reduction, flat, just as is. And because he's universal, he's not going to suffer from type disadvantage against the opposite type. If he were combat, it would be blast. If he were speed, it would be combat, yada, yada, yada. So you don't need any other pieces. So in this case, I'm going to drop Jean Grey in because she's just a complete badass. But now I'm going to show you the most degenerate aspect of this strategy. We're basically going to look for a team that has a first character. We're going to look for a team with 2 mutants, so Jean Grey +1. And we're going to look for a team that doesn't start with Jean Grey. So we're going to look for a team that starts with Strife, or we're going to look for a team that starts with Deadpool. So in this case, we can actually completely wipe this guy's team. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to go in. Sentinel's going to do all the work. This is the crazy thing. So here's the first part. This part you'll recognize because this is Sentinel taking 1 damage from Deadpool. So Deadpool cannot kill Sentinel. Now, I was under the impression that if you had more base HP than the enemy at the end of the fight, even if you have all 6 people still standing, you will win. But that's not the case. Apparently, if you don't get a single kill, regardless of how much HP you have, or possibly it's some sort of maximum HP or percentage of maximum HP. I took a little bit of damage. I don't know what happened. But anyways, if you don't kill anyone, you will lose the fight. So basically, all we have to do here, and it's not too hard, we just have to kill Deadpool. I know it sounds like a haughty task, but it's actually not that difficult. Sentinel can do enough damage to kill Deadpool. He can't do enough damage in most cases to kill Jean Grey, but he can do enough damage to kill Deadpool. And that's basically it. Now you'll see and you'll notice that my clones are taking a lot of damage. The clones do not, benefit from the damage reduction, so that's why I am sort of losing them a lot faster than my Sentinel. I did take some reflect damage there, so Colossus is actually a bit more of a threat than I would have thought. But I just wiped out that team with just Sentinel. I mean, I needed Colossus on the team, but I didn't even need Jean Grey on the team. You could put anyone on the team. You could put Cyclops if you wanted to give Sentinel an extra 30% energy attack. So if you actually want to get the kills with Sentinel, you can see here he's got 20,000 energy attack, which is pretty low. And I'll go over my build in a minute here, but I could slap him on and he can bump up to 23,600. It's not a huge difference, but it is a possibility. But now I want to show you like the most degenerate version of this fight and of this build, because we're basically going to find a team with Strife or Deadpool in the lead, and then Jean Grey next. This team works as well, and basically here's what's going to happen. Sentinel's going to kill Cyclops, and then it doesn't matter if I can't kill Jean Grey. And this is where it gets really corny. We're just gonna kill Cyclops, and that's it. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna heal here, and Cyclops is gonna die, and then we're just gonna put our phone down. I'm actually playing on my phone, by the way, and I'm just gonna walk away for the next 4 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm not gonna put you through the whole 4 minutes and a half. I'm gonna go get a coffee. I'm gonna go read a couple of pages of the book that I'm reading because I'm a very learned man. No, I'm not. And I'm just going to come back at the end, and it'll be a victory. It'll be a victory because I've killed at least one member of the team, I believe, or at least it's either I've killed one member of the team, or I have more overall HP because I've reduced the HP of one of the characters to 0. So it's, you know, 100% on my Colossus, 100% on my Jean Grey, and then whatever, 99% on my Sentinel versus 100% on his Jean Grey, 0% on his Cyclops, and then 100 on his Colossus. Whatever the calculation is, this is a win 10 times out of 10. So I could put it on autoplay, I could not put it on autoplay, it doesn't matter. Jean will never do more than 1 damage, and I will win every single time. And so you could farm the same team. You could even put it on autoplay. I'm pretty sure my Sentinel is going to kill his Cyclops on autoplay. The reason why Sentinel is struggling in this case and the reason why he can't kill Jean Grey is a combination of 2 factors. On the one hand, he just doesn't do enough damage. He could do enough damage if his clones could survive, but the clones die. Like the extra Sentinels that he summons, they have very low health and they don't have the damage reduction. They don't benefit from the damage reduction of Colossus, so they take full damage, or they at least take partial damage from Jean Grey. And so if they could survive without taking any damage, I think I could kill Jean Grey, because his damage is good enough with all 3 there, and that's how I was able to kill Deadpool. But in most cases, they die almost instantly, and him on his own doesn't have enough damage to kill her, and so that's why you basically have to just time out. So let's just fast forward this. And before this ends, I just want you guys to know that obviously this is not the most fun way of playing Timeline, nor is it the most interactive way of playing Timeline. I know some people hate it when I show these kinds of teams off because they might accidentally fight against them and then get frustrated when they can't deal any damage, but it's a legitimate strategy because it relies on the opponent choosing multiple mutants for their team. And the interesting thing is that Netmarble kind of did this to themselves. They've created a lot of updates that have made mutants really, really good. And I actually want to make a follow-up video in the future about the balance of the game as far as are mutants taking over Marvel Future Fight more at 11 with Jimmy at the front desk. But seriously, if you think about a lot of the top meta characters, they are or have been for the last sort of year and a half, for the most part, mutants, with a few notable exceptions. Of course, Jean Grey is the big offender, and that's the one that your mind is going to magnetize and gravitate towards, but think of other ones. Think of Deadpool, for example. Think of Strife and how long he was sort of around the top. Think of Wolverine and the time that he spent around or near the top. For a long time, Magneto was the best Blast villain we had, and now he's been supplanted by another mutant Blast villain. And so on and so forth. So it's interesting to see, you know, Cable also was one of the best, best Blast heroes for a long time as well, and he's also a mutant. It's interesting to see, and I think it's fun, and I think it's exciting to have a character like, thank you for the invite, but sorry, a character like Sentinel being brought back into the spotlight. He's not quite there the way that someone like Deadpool is, using the combo of Hela and Colossus, but I would say if he's not on your radar, he should be. And if you have the resources and if you have the money to get the biosub to rank him up, get him to tier 2, I would put him on there for a rainy day, because it might come sooner or later. He'll get a uniform, maybe he transforms into Nimrod, maybe something else, and then he might be the new Thanos, just completely power dunking teams and being a hard counter with just one other character to pretty much every mutant in the game, which is scary but extremely thematic. So I applaud Netmarble for doing that and allowing this strategy and allowing this sort of synergy to exist in the game. It's a bold move, it's a risky move, but I love it. Also, I have a rank 282 Sentinel, so it helps. Quick little note here on the build. We went full energy attack because of the reflect, I believe, that he has. but maybe not. Maybe there isn't reflect. I'm not sure. Maybe there, I think chance to become immune? Never mind, there's no reflect. But anyways, we want him to deal damage. So it was energy attack, HP, and then whatever else we had down there. We have attack speed here so he doesn't get interrupted, but we might want to go with recovery rate because we have a CTP of regeneration with pretty good stats there. And then we've got power of Angry Hulk, but I might want to experiment with something like binary power. And then we have level 6 on pretty much all the skills because they all have different effects except for the first skill with just the stun. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for Sentinels flying through the sky. Let me know what you guys think of the most degenerate timeline battle team to come out of 2019 so far. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you later today. Take care.